Hi, good afternoon. My name is Martha Pskowski, and thank you. So the title that's in the program, I changed my topic, so please bear with me. I'm from the class of 2009, and I can get the slides started. So I'm going to be talking about some of my work currently, but more than that, the kind of how I came to what I'm doing now, which a big part of it came through Sandy Spring. And I'm currently living in southern Mexico. I've been doing research this past year through a Fulbright grant on this program called Red Plus, which basically is developed countries paying developing countries to reduce their deforestation and thereby reduce carbon emissions. So it's one of the UN policies to address climate change. So when I've been visiting at home for a while, and I was reading in the Washington Post that the U.S. has actually been selling 4.4 million tons of wood pellets a year to Europe, apparently also to address climate change. So that was an interesting piece of news to read, and it kind of opens up the topic I want to look at of how we understand environmental issues today. So the US and Europe are paying all this money to encourage conservation in the developing world to reduce climate change. But at the same time, we're deforesting to reduce climate change in our own country. So there's something odd in that equation. So I think in this audience, we probably have a pretty good understanding of what climate change is, that 99% of scientists agree that it's caused by humans. And since I was a student at Sandy Spring, I've been very interested and passionate about this issue. My senior year, that's a picture of a big group of us who went to Capitol Hill for the Power Shift conference. And some of my activism has led to actions like the tar sands protest. So there's another photo there. So I'd like to convince you all today that economic, racial, ethnic, and gender conflicts are actually at the heart of our environmental problems today. And to view the two as separate, we'll fail to solve either of them. So I have a quote from Murray Bookchin that says, "If we treat the symptoms of a grim social pathology rather than the pathology itself, our efforts will be directed towards limited goals whose attainment is more cosmetic than curative." So I would argue that the way that most policy addresses climate change is as an environmental problem that has scientific, quantifiable solutions that are detached from human relations. But actually, and these technical solutions mean more new products that can solve the problem. So I want to talk through some statistics to change this framing. So in the US, we have 4% of the world's people. However, we have a quarter of the world's economy. We use 30% of the world's resources, and we produce a fifth of the world's climate pollution. At the same time, looking at social issues currently, the 1% gets 20% of the income in this country. 1 in 4 of the world's prison inmates are in the United States. Over 2 million people have been deported since 2009, and police have killed 385 people so far this year. So we don't just have a throwaway culture when it comes to natural resources. In fact, in our society, some people are disposable. And I argue that environmental problems persist because they're pushed off on these disposable populations within our country and around the world. The Ella Baker Center has a great quote: "Our country is the world leader in both pollution and incarceration. The US throws away too many precious resources into landfills and incinerators, and too many precious people into jails and prisons." So to look at some of the social impacts of environmental problems, these two are really linked very deeply. In frontline communities, which are the communities that have some of the environmental burdens like incinerators, mining, and so on, there are fewer no job opportunities, property values drop. There's also a low tax base generally. There's exposure to toxins and pollutants at work, a shortened life expectancy, and other health problems. So the real impacts of environmental problems are manifested socially across our communities. So I think that we need to get away from the mindset of not in my backyard when it comes to environmental problems and start saying not in anyone's backyard. And these are some photos from the California drought right now that's really showing how this unsustainable use of resources affects those around us. So again, there are no throwaway species, children, resources, neighborhoods, or nations. We assert that the surest path to safe streets and peaceful communities is not more police and prisons, but ecologically sound economic development. So to wrap up, I feel like I'm just getting started, but it's almost over. From my work in Mexico, this is a community in Oaxaca that really the solutions to these problems might look different in the US from Mexico or other countries, but at the heart, they're really similar. So that was a community that has started their own sustainable timber operation and created a lot of local jobs, which has also reduced their need to migrate. There's also communities that are directly resisting the fossil fuel infrastructure that's being built both in the US and in Mexico. This is a place where they're building a oil pipeline, which is a big issue here too. So to close, this is a photo I took when I was traveling. It's on the Guatemala-Mexico border. And I think we need to start breaking down these barriers that we have both physically and psychologically so we can push all of these environmental problems aside and start working on them together. And that's the only way we'll really be able to solve them. Thank you.